Hi guys, so this video is on making a spaghetti bolognese. The reason why we do this particular recipe is to continue practicing the skill of tomato concasse, as well as learn how to brunoise an onion. So hopefully you've already watched a video on how to brunoise. So that is the skill that you'll be looking at, as well as learning how to cook pasta properly. So we'll get started. The first thing that you need to do with this recipe is to get a pot of water on boiling, making sure that it is boiling before you add your pasta, and just add a little bit of salt into that boiling water. So we want that water boiling, and then you can get your pasta on. Now we're cooking our pasta so that it's al dente, okay? Now al dente means that it's chewy still in the middle but soft on the outside. So when you bite into it, it should still be quite firm in the middle and nice and soft on the outside. In Western culture, we generally tend to overcook pasta, and as a result, it ends up being really mushy and unpleasant. But traditionally, it should be cooked to al dente. So we put our pasta in. Once the water is boiling, and you can just let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now, the next thing that we're going to start doing is frying off our meat. We're going to brown our meat. We're going to saute our onion and our garlic. So we're going to use some butter for this, and the butter just adds a little bit of flavour. So you're going to add some of your onion brunoise and put your garlic in as well. The way we tell when our onion is cooked is when it starts to turn a translucent colour. All right. So if we have a look, mine's probably ready to add my mince in. Now what I'm going to do with my mince is just brown it. And you do this before you start to add any of the flavourings. Now you're going to be doing half the amount that I'm doing today. So it's okay if you don't have the same amount of mince that I have. Browning just means to get rid of any of that pink colour. So you should be able to tell when it's done, when that pinky colour disappears. All right, so if you look closely at mine now, you can see that all the mince is brown, so there's no pink left, and that's what you want your mince to look like before you start adding the flavourings. Okay, so once that's done, what you can then do is add in your tomato paste, add in your dried basil, just for a bit more flavour, and that parsley that you chopped, you can add that in, and that will just give it a beautiful flavour. Last thing, put in the tomato concasse. You're just going to stir that. Don't forget to add a little bit of salt and pepper to season. Okay, to check our pasta, what we do is just put our fork in, pull out a piece. You can blow, there's two ways you can do it. You can either taste test it, it's always good to taste test, or you can squeeze it, blow on it, and then just squeeze it in the middle. And if it's still really hard, then it's not going to be ready. But mine's still a little bit hard in the middle, so we're just going to let it cook for a little bit longer. Alrighty, so if we have a look at our mince now, it's probably been sitting for about 10 minutes now, just absorbing some of those beautiful flavours of the garlic, of the basil, of the tomato, as well as the onion, and it's just helped to intensify those flavours. So once most of the liquid is sort of pretty much gone, what you can then do is get ready to plate up. Now for plating up, there's a few ways that you can plate up. I would suggest using a bowl for something like a spaghetti bolognese. And I say that just because spaghetti bolognese can be quite messy to eat, and it's easy to scoop things out with a fork, and sometimes people might eat it with a spoon as well. So just a few basic principles to show you. You can serve it straight into a bowl. That is fine. But often if we're working in a restaurant, what we do is we heat our plates. And the reason why we do that is we want our food to stay warm for longer. So a good way to heat a bowl up, but then so that the waiter or waitress can actually carry that plate, what we could do is put a bowl on top of a plate like this. And what it also does is it adds height to our dish. And generally when we have height in our dish, it makes the dish pop from the plate, and therefore makes it look a little bit more appealing. But you'll notice, if I'm carrying that out, that plate is actually quite slippery. So what I'm going to do to stop that plate from slipping is just put a serviette there, and that should hold it much more securely. Just sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese over the top, just to add a little bit of colour, as well as a bit of flavour. And then it's always good to garnish your dish. You put it onto your plate, and then you have a lovely spaghetti bolognese ready to eat.